Happy birthday, Max! Woo! He's at the big 2-1. If you want to send in your messages of happy birthdayness, ury.org.uk, number to call 07851 101 313. The man is looking at me funny through the window.
Shall I give him the Build-A-Bear happy birthday song?
What, the guy looking in the window?
The guy in the song that says "Damn son" sounds just like you.
Son.
I don't know why.
He
It
really
just goes.
When I first played that on Mark's birthday, I thought Mark had figured out what it was and then just had added that in. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Do the Build-A-Bear song.
Okay.
If
ready?
it's copyright allowed.
Well, I mean, this is my own rendition of it, so it's allowed.
Yeah. Live cover here on
Live
NFLementary.
Happy birthday, Bear, from the birthday bear. Happy birthday to you. It's a special day just for you, 'cause today's the day the world gave us you.
Oh
happy
my God.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Do you
Happy
sing it to little kids?
birthday. No, there was a little sound box that you stuck inside the bear, and so every time they pressed it, it played that song.
Oh, God.
Well,
So if you want to punish your parents, get a
That's for a
sibling.
Build-A-Bear happy birthday.
Give
Yeah.
a sibling one of them, and they'll just play it on repeat.
thank you. I think.
Mark, former employee of Build-A-Bear, giving away the trade secrets there.
Literally, yeah.
We're in a different place today.
Ooh.
We are in Studio Blue, which is the auxiliary studio, I suppose you'd say, to Studio Red. It's our first show from here. Me and
Although
Mark
it's
have been
better
here
in
before.
almost every way.
Yeah, everything's new. The microphones work. The headphones work. Look,
actually,
I'm currently typing and you guys can't hear it, so there'll be no more loud, annoying.
The fancy click on the mouse.
Look, I'm clicking and nobody can hear it.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Genius.
I can't believe it. Really.
I know. Max is dressed up for the
genuinely
occasion.
can't. Ooh,
Yeah, he's in his dapper suit.
Thank you. I keep losing my hearing.
In real life? Or?
No, this.
Oh.
Like, if I
See,
go like this,
they
I've lost it.
they say
I've
you're on
lost
the
Okay,
downward slope
so-
from 21. So
We've just been praising all the equipment in Studio Blue, and it turns out the headphones are broken.
Yeah.
But anyway, of course, we are doing our second episode of the NFLementary Narwhals today.
Mhm.
We did the first one on Tuesday, and it went up live on our YouTube yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, if you're listening on YouTube and you haven't seen it yet, I'd advise checking that out. If you're listening live, sorry, you're going to have to deal with us, but you can watch it afterwards. This episode obviously will be focusing on the offense, and then next episode we'll do an hour on special teams, right?
yes,
Yeah, why not?
We did have this discussion. I'm up for it. I will happily
not
talk
an
about
hour.
kickers and punters for an hour.
maybe half an hour or something.
Maybe we can spread out over 2 episodes, because it's such an important part
It
of the
is
team.
very
one for
important,
kickers,
yeah.
one for punters, some for punt returners, kick
Yeah.
returners, special
Long snappers, holders.
Oh dear.
Long snapper is a hard
It is
position
quite a
to
hard
play.
position, actually. Yeah, they get paid a very reasonable amount. Although they're not recognised in Madden, they just get lumped in as tight ends.
Yeah, it's really
So
bizarre.
you randomly just have like a 44 rated tight end on your
Genuinely,
team.
yeah.
Silly Madden. Sort it out. But anyway, if you are unaware of the rules, essentially the NFL has crashed and burned, and Roger Goodell, the commissioner, has come to the logical choice. The 3 of us, geniuses, British NFL fans.
The self-acclaimed #1 NFL podcast in the UK.
Of course. And he's basically said, look at all these players we have. Make a team to reignite love for the game. And we've gone, okay, only if you get rid of the salary cap. And that's what he's done for us. So we can make a team out of any players we want. Obviously, we're trying to stick loosely within the confines of a 53-man roster, so we can't just have 17 quarterbacks on our team. Although I guess we could and just play them at wide receiver.
Just all
Lamar Jackson.
Just do backwards passes for
all the way down the field, and then just one big long one.
or do one where they all huddle around the ball and all split out and then just all
Yeah, like a 4-quarterback formation. Should we just get started?
Yeah.
yeah.
Should we start with quarterback?
Go on.
Right, I don't even think we need to discuss this. There's a certain player, had an incredible season, an absolute rocket of an arm, spent the whole season just doing things that you wouldn't expect. I'm not going to say Cam Newton.
I was
I'm
actually
not gonna
expecting you to
Don't
say
worry.
Cam Newton.
I don't even think it's up for discussion, really. Like, there were certain moments this season where this man did things that really genuinely made me reconsider what the quarterback position actually is. And that man is Josh Allen.
Of course.
I'm not joking.
I've got Josh Allen on my list too.
I
Young quarterback, bullet arm, can
Yeah.
Mobile as hell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
like
let's
a
go
young
with it.
Cam.
Yeah.
Josh Allen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, like, absolutely
can-
vaulted the Minnesota
Yeah.
Vikings defense.
Yeah. He can dive like 6 foot or probably more. He can probably dive about 10 foot. So yeah, I agree.
You want Josh Allen in the team?
Yeah,
What a
but-
weirdo. Why do you want Josh Allen in
the
our team
hell?
when you've got all those good quarterbacks?
Yeah.
That didn't go as expected.
No.
Well, it's because I twigged and I was like, yeah, let's play along, let's have him.
Well, it
I'm guessing you were
worked.
talking about Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I was actually
No.
talking about Josh Allen.
I was talking about Lamar Jackson. Bullet arm, very accurate.
Yeah.
I have got him on my list.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Christ.
Here we go.
So my thinking for the 3 quarterbacks was I'll go for one for your...
So what have you done?
Mark is tangled up.
I just got
Mark just had an intimate moment with his microphone.
Wow.
So my thinking with the quarterbacks is you go for the quarterback for sort of every play. You go for an experienced quarterback to sort of help them, can be used in sort of some situations.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Exactly.
Represent.
And then another quarterback who you can just use for fun, trick, fancy plays. So I've got, in effect, a thrower, a runner, and an old man.
I've just looked at the 3 names on your list and I know exactly who's who. You've got Mahomes as your thrower.
Yeah.
Brady's your runner.
He's 1,000 career rush yards, right?
Yeah, what a legend.
No, I have Mahomes, Brady, and Lamar Jackson.
I agree on Mahomes. Do you agree on Mahomes?
I obviously have Mahomes, and I think I have him as number 1 purely
Yeah.
because of how good he is right now,
Yeah.
how good he's going to be, and because he's so young. I don't have either of the other 2. Lamar Jackson will
Neither
never be
do
on
I.
my list. I have
Maybe
Andrew
one
Luck
day.
as my number 2.
I also
Um,
have Andrew Luck. I'd like to put my hand up and say that.
Andrew Luck is a weird one. I feel like part of his career has been taken away permanently, but at this point he could still play another 10 years, and he's still going to be incredible.
The second best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and
I
he makes the Colts, despite how great the Colts team is as a whole, he makes the Colts team even better. He's that sort of impact player. And then my third guy was a guy I think people are going to forget because he didn't really have that great of a year, but he was injured for it. But Aaron Rodgers is still the best pure player in the game.
Interesting.
And he's 34 years old. He easily has another 5 years if he wants to play another 5 years.
I did think...
And it's as simple as that. Like you kind of get Rodgers with Mahomes, but Rodgers is more experienced and he has the pedigree of
Been
kind
there,
of
done it.
been there, done that so many times with his comeback wins. You can't ignore that.
I thought at length about Rodgers and also Brady, to be fair. Just have Brady on the team. I have Cam Newton written down.
Right.
I toyed between Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton.
I just think Cam Newton, firstly, brings something to the table that a lot of all the other quarterbacks can't. And I think
What,
also...
injury?
He's been one of the most consistent starting quarterbacks since he was drafted in 2011. Played through the exact same injury that Andrew Luck had and took 2 years out for a couple of years ago, which is arguably the cause of why he had to miss out a couple of games at the end of this season. But he was playing through that injury as well since TJ Watt, like the
It was the
flare-up
Pittsburgh game.
happened, in the Pittsburgh game, which I mean explains a lot about why the Panthers went from 6-2 to 7-9. But beside the point, I just think he's, how old is he? 29, 30, something like that. So he's, for a quarterback, still relatively young. He's proven that he can phase out this kind of crazy running part of his game. He doesn't need to rely on that anymore because he is essentially a great pocket passer.
He is not a great pocket passer.
I think he is.
He's
When he
not
has a
a great
pocket,
pocket passer.
he's had to deal with for the last, how many years has he been in the league? 9 years? He's had one good year with a half-decent offensive line, and what happened that year? He won MVP and we went to the Super Bowl. Cam Newton that year was one of the
But to be a
greatest
great
single-season
pocket-
performances by a quarterback
to be-
of all time.
To be a great pocket to be a great pocket passer, you have to be accurate.
He is accurate.
Is he?
Yes.
This is the first year he's gone above 61%.
Because it's the first year when he hasn't been expected to absolutely bomb it downfield
I'm
to
sorry.
receivers who won't be open, because we end up in ridiculous third and long situations because all we do on first and second down is run the ball up the middle
So
for a
please
yard.
explain Russell Wilson's career average 65% completion behind an offensive line which has been worse. Explain that.
It wasn't worse this year.
No, it wasn't worse this year, hence why his numbers were up. But can you explain why Russell
He's had
Wilson...
better receivers. Doug Baldwin.
Tyler Lockett.
Brandon Marshall. Tyler Lockett's
Tyler
only really
Lockett
come out
for
this
this
year.
year.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny. Jermaine Kearse, who was banished to the Jets. We're going to go there?
He's half
really?
decent player. Half decent. He had Golden Tate. Russell Wilson has had a better supporting cast. I just think Cam Newton is one of the most Cam Newton is worthy of.
Right, Russell Wilson was my number 4, by the way, which is why I'm feeling a little
The
certain.
I would be more inclined to take Russell Wilson over Cam Newton, because I think if you're going to take 3 quarterbacks, there's no point taking 3 quarterbacks that are going to do pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So I can understand taking Patrick Mahomes and like Andrew Luck as a backup, but then if you're then taking sort of Aaron,
I can understand having Andrew Luck as a backup. Yeah,
I feel like he might get into the Rams.
but like Aaron Rodgers is a third. He's like just going to sit on the bench and keep it warm for Mahomes to like come back and sit on. There's no point having him on the team. Whereas if you have someone like Russell Wilson,
who is a
like,
scrub,
someone like Lamar Jackson, or
Lamar Jackson deserves to keep Aaron Rodgers' seat warm. Yeah.
No, or like Cam Newton, then you can still use them in plays because they have the sort of leg athleticism.
I get that. It's just
I'll throw another name into the ring.
Yeah.
This was my. I knew you guys wouldn't go for Cam Newton, so this was my backup, if you like. Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield was also my last guy on the list, and it's pretty obvious at this point that I'm in love with him. In many ways, but.
Just think he brings some fire, some electricity. I love a good character. Also, like I know this is come with me on this journey about what I'm going to say. Baker Mayfield is a character, right? And he clearly doesn't give a damn about what the coaches say most of the time.
Yeah.
But if he has respect and loyalty for you, I feel like that shines through. So firstly, the fact that we're picking him, I feel like we get some respect and loyalty out of it. And as long as you make it a fair competition between Mahomes, Newton, Luck, Mayfield, our 4 quarterbacks. I'm joking. As long as you make it a fair competition, I feel like he'll reward us with more loyalty. And then what he can do, and what I think he has done on the Browns with players like Antonio Callaway, is just be like almost like a middle ground between them being absolutely crazy and like the establishment nature of the NFL. So like I feel like he would help us control wilder players just by being himself and being like he's such a rallying point that no matter how crazy you are, like when we get into wide receivers, for example, I'm sure we're gonna maybe have an Odell Beckham Jr. argument. I feel like Odell Beckham Jr. would rally around Mayfield, and in that way that could kind of temper some of the crazy stuff that Odell might be inclined to do. So in that way, not only is Baker a lightning rod for our team and kind of like the guy that we put in when we want to like pump the team up and like, I mean, he does incredible things with the ball in his hand. Simultaneously, he could be a way of controlling other players, thinking about team dynamics.
I kind of agree, because I think Baker Mayfield gets a bit of a bad rap because of the way that he's behaved with the whole Hugh Jackson thing, but I think people forget that fundamentally he just believes Hugh Jackson sucks. That's it. And he's honest. He's honest. Yeah, but he's honest though, and very few guys are that honest, especially this early on. He's in his first year, halfway through his first year, and he's openly like, yeah, he sucks. I don't like him. I don't like the way he works.
The confidence of being the first round pick, but then also
I don't think that would matter. I don't think it would matter where he was picked. Yeah.
But the other thing to remember, the Browns have been a completely dysfunctional franchise for as long as I can remember, and just been incapable of really doing anything, making any progress, anything like that.
And they did better without a decent coach than they did with a coach. Do you know what I mean? Like they lost a guy who was actually trained as a coach and then did better because of it.
What, Hugh Jackson?
Yeah. So when Hugh Jackson left,
I don't know who trained Hugh Jackson, but he should get a refund.
Yeah, but like so they had no proper head coach at that time, and Baker Mayfield and the whole Browns organisation or whatever basically carried them to better.
That's the interesting thing, because
his
his offensive coordinator during his better half of the season was a guy that had never been a coordinator in his life, and the guy that was a guy that had worked with a Hall of Famer like Ben Roethlisberger, who the only reason, by the way, he was banished from Pittsburgh is because Ben Roethlisberger didn't like him. So
can we do an episode on Pittsburgh, because there's a lot of stuff that's come out this week that I feel like we need to talk about.
Pittsburgh is
what's going down with Antonio Brown.
What's just going down in Pittsburgh, I think, is more the point. Like
what's going down with Big Ben and his kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to Baker, I mean, this is now just becoming a Baker Mayfield podcast, but I'm not opposed to it. This whole hatred of Hugh Jackson, I think people look at that and see, I say people, Colin Cowherd looks at that and goes, look, he's very immature, he doesn't show respect to his coaches, blah, blah, blah. The Browns team hated Hugh Jackson. That much is obvious. People like Demarius Randall, Jarvis Landry have spoken out about how they didn't like Hugh Jackson and what he was doing. The coaches spoke out about how they didn't like Hugh Jackson and what he was doing. John Dorsey, I don't think, liked Hugh Jackson and what he was doing.
No.
What Baker Mayfield has done is been like, cool, he's the enemy. We can, if I do things to to show my distaste for him, that can unite and rally the team around me. I don't think it was ever Baker Mayfield, like when he ran up to him and grabbed his nuts. That wasn't just a snap decision of like, well, hey, look at me, I'm a 7-year-old child. It was, this is something I can do that will get my team more on my side, that will make me more of a leader, that will make them have more respect for me. And I like that.
I think this attitude problem, just kind of like cap it off, is it will go away in terms of it being a thing for people to talk about, because he's already won the battle. He came into Cleveland, and I'm pretty sure his goal in the end was, I do not want my best years in this place to be with Hugh Jackson. And he's already won that. Yep. So that's it now. I don't think we'll have this next year. I think next year all we'll get is...
the Browns going to the Super Bowl.
The Browns winning, I think, is all we're going to get. And that's it.
Which is
and I think that's the goal.
So bringing it back then, Mahomes is in. Are we happy with Luck?
Yeah. So the only reason that I toyed with Baker. Yeah, I'm fine with Luck, by the way.
So we're just down to the last place then.
So the only reason I didn't put Baker in was because we had Mahomes. So I was like, we've got the young player we're going to take forward. There, and I take the arguments about sort of electricity and all that, but I feel that equally Andrew Luck and Mahomes could do that job. Sort of Andrew Luck as sort of the voice of experience and all that. Patrick Mahomes just as another young player. And so I didn't put Mayfield in, even though I was toying with him quite a lot, because we already have Mahomes as the young player we're coming up.
So you'd have Flacco instead?
I'd have Keenum personally. Yeah. Mark would probably have Keenum.
I'd rather have Keenum than Flacco, I'm just saying it. But
yeah, same. I'd rather have Keenum's wife than Flacco, to be honest. They did an interview together. That was
okay, so yeah.
Should we just vote?
I mean,
how about we all say our first preference, and then we'll, if there's no clear winner, we'll drop down and go to second preference.
Okay.
Obviously, Cam Newton, personally. I've made the case clear.
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Literally the greatest player of the game.
Okay, I'll go Lamar Jackson.
The greatest player of the game ever.
NFLementary consensus here.
So, literally greatest player of the game, and you're saying no.
Yes.
What?
I'm saying no to the yeah. I'm saying yes to the no.
I'm confused. Okay, second preference. Baker Mayfield.
Aaron Rodgers is the greatest player of the game. How can you say no?
Who's your second preference?
Well, let's say...
Russell Wilson, then.
All right,
okay,
let's do
my second preference would be Russell Wilson.
Let's do a thing where...
Russell Wilson
hang on. Let's do a thing where you can draw... Let's say we each get one red line per episode. Or one red line per thing.
Oh, dear.
So you can... I won't use it here on Cam Newton, but you can demand a player to be included. But only one.
Right, I demand, because it is the stupidest thing in the world.
You can use it later.
I use it now on Lamar Jackson?
No, because Max has used it first.
He hasn't used it.
I demand Aaron Rodgers.
Okay,
how can you not? How?
I'm happy to
You
have
are
Aaron.
literally the biggest idiot on the planet. If you can choose every player in the league right now for the next 5 years, you want to win for the next 5 years, you pick Aaron Rodgers every single day.
The other good thing about Rodgers is, if he isn't playing and your team's feeling a bit down, you can just give him some like happy gas and he'll be funny to watch, like he was after the Bears game, where he's like, whoa, I don't know what happened there. Max uses his red line. The discussion is over. Aaron Rodgers in the team. Moving on to
blasphemous.
I'm perfectly happy to have Aaron Rodgers in. I mean, like, obviously, I'd rather have Cam, but
he just causes problems. Doesn't bring anything to the team.
What, Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
That's an interesting line of argument. I'm going to quickly bring the kids in. Congratulations to our quarterbacks.
All I'm going to say is when we eventually get round to the trade news that's come out this week, all I'm going to say is if Green Bay play their cards right, they ain't losing a single game next year.
Yeah, and people, I believe, said that about this season as well. I feel
like
what about who? Green Bay?
We didn't predict any unbeaten teams, did we? And as you know, we are the only source for knowledgeable NFL chat. Yeah. Like the Panthers going 13-3.
Are we going to do a review of our last year's picks and see how close they were?
Yeah, of course. We can bring that in the next couple of weeks. Moving on to running back. We're going to have 4 of them. I'm going to give you 4 names. You're going to agree with all of them.
Okay, go.
Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, Saquon Barkley.
I agree with 2 of them.
Interesting.
Okay, so David Johnson on his peak, yeah, like
David Johnson has had I don't even want to say a down year because he's been on the most inept offense in the NFL, run by a defensive coordinator essentially because he didn't give Byron Leftwich time of day. The fact his team were always losing and he still managed to get 961 yards rushing behind the consensus the worst O-line in the league. All 5 starters were out within kind of 2 minutes basically. A rookie quarterback who didn't really know what he was doing. He got better service from Larry Fitzgerald when they ran trick plays and Larry Fitzgerald threw the ball to him. I know it's been 2 years since David Johnson's had a year. I still think he had a good year last year, and I cannot forget just how good he was when he came into the league.
And the thing as well is next year with Cliff Kingsbury, he's going to know how to use him, and it's going to be special, I think.
Which I think is interesting because, you know, the thing with Cliff Kingsbury is he runs this air raid offense, and you know there was that game where he was at Texas Tech and it was I feel like it might have been against Oklahoma because it was Mahomes versus Mayfield. And Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 68 times or something like that. Was this the
ridiculously high score?
Yeah, or it ended up like 66, 50,
59,
and they rushed the ball, like Mahomes rushed the ball 6 times for 70 yards. Other players on the team rushed the ball 4 times. And so people are saying, well, when Kingsbury comes into Arizona, he's not going to use David Johnson. Rubbish.
I disagree.
I don't even think you need to use David Johnson in the run game because he's one of those players. I'd put him with McCaffrey probably, as he would be just as good as a receiver, I think. And you know, as a receiving back in that offense, watch out.
Do you know, actually, I can't disagree with anyone on that list because I think when you get down to you could say, well, Gurley deserves to be in there, but then, and this is take nothing away from Gurley, but I think when you optimize what you get from, say, Saquon Barkley, you get better than Todd Gurley because Saquon Barkley, I think, will, when it's all said and done, be the better of the lot. I definitely have McCaffrey in there because he's just so tenacious and I think he's consistent and he's one of the better receiving running backs, but I don't think I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he's in Carolina and it's not New York or it's not Los Angeles, but he doesn't seem to get the credit that he deserves.
I wholly agree.
And then Ezekiel Elliott, I'm kind of apathetic towards him at this point. I don't know. I can kind of take him or leave him. I don't know why.
I put him in there because
I'd rather have David Johnson actually.
Yeah, so
fulfilling that role.
Yeah. I wanted like the big bruiser.
Yeah,
I've always been someone who thinks that a lot of Zeke's success is down to the fact that he's behind probably one of the greatest O-lines in history. Equally, I can't deny the guy's got physical gifts. It's similar to how Saquon's built. He's bottom heavy.
Yeah,
his thighs and his calves are just ginormous. And with Saquon, he's got a slimmer upper half, which is why he's able to do these amazing cuts and stuff. With Zeke, obviously, he's a bit chunkier. Lay off the chicken, Zeke. But he still, it's the power in the legs to like burst through tackles and things like that. He'd just be nice, kind of as a backup.
The only other person I have that isn't on your list, excluding the likes of Gurley, and then I thought Kamara, but then I thought, to me, Kamara is like a smaller Gurley.
Yeah.
Does the same thing. Le'Veon Bell, I mean, at this point, can you really say he's ever had a bad year? No, he's consistently been. It's like the Antonio Brown conversation. Like, you don't know if he's number one, but he probably is, given the fact that every year he's either 1 or 2, and the other person changes year by year. So it's either Brown or Jones, Browns or Hopkins sort of thing. Every year when Bell's playing, it's Bell or this person, Bell or that person.
Yeah.
Well, is Bell then therefore not the consistent number one? Even if he's not the best of the year, he's at least number 2.
He's always in the conversation,
And he's going to come, if we're thinking real time here, he's going to come off completely fresh. Hopefully he isn't actually 260 pounds like the rumours say. I doubt it. I really doubt it.
A professional level athlete, even if they are that, they'll be able to lose it like that.
Then again, actually, I was watching CJ Anderson's interview on The Herd. If you haven't watched that interview, it's a really good one, actually. And he says that after the season's over, he will happily gain 40, 50 pounds eating crap, basically. He'll go to fast food restaurants. He doesn't care because he's so able to just strip it all down again. And he just lives his life. So that's hopefully what Bell's been doing. I remember,
because I used to follow him on Twitter when he was with the Panthers, and when he moved to the Rams, I think basically he got told by the Rams, you're going to be our like bowling ball. You're the complement to Gurley. So his response was, I need to put up some weight. I need to get bigger. I need to get more bowling ball. So he started a diet of eating like 4 McDonald's meals a day plus his like just as like a snack essentially after practice he'd go and get 4 McDonald's meals, and it meant he put on like an extra 10-15 pounds like that. And I mean, like, you can see it on the guy. He's a chunky monkey.
Yeah.
He does look.
He's great though. He's great. I mean, if he's a free agent next year, and
I felt like the Rams will keep him.
I think the Rams.
oh,
will
I
keep
think
him.
they would be stupid not to. But if they don't,
It's almost as if like it would have been great if a team signed him on a really cheap deal at the beginning of the year and then used him perfectly as a compliment to our generational running back. I wish a team. Oh, hang on, the Panthers could have done that.
In fairness, though, I'd rather see him in the hands of McVay.
Yeah, true.
So,
I mean, if Gurley can be successful in that run game, then Anderson can be, right? Who are your other options for running back? I'm
I
guessing
went
Gurley
and
was on there.
Kamara as my other
Interesting.
two, then Barkley and McCaffrey. Are we all agreed on Barkley and McCaffrey then?
yeah.
I feel like, it's not even something we need to talk about that much. They're incredible players. David Johnson, I really would like in the team.
I agree. David Johnson was, I'm not sure if he was my 1 or 2, but he's one of
He's
those.
such an exciting
yeah.
player. And next year, I think we'll hopefully see a return to the
A bit like
Johnson of old.
what I said about Andrew last year. Just have patience and wait for the moment, because when it comes, it'll be great.
Johnson didn't quite get the 1,000 season, did he?
He didn't, but
He got like
did in one category.
1,200, 900 or something like that.
Yeah, so he actually he didn't have that bad of a year.
No.
It's one of those years. It's a bit like Rodgers, by his standards, had a bad year, but actually he was by far in the top third of the league still.
Are you happy with David Johnson, Mark?
Yeah.
So then it comes down to Zeke, Gurley, or Kamara.
It's hard.
Interesting that we have no running backs from the AFC.
Yeah,
Some people are making an argument for Melvin Gordon, I think.
Yeah, I like Melvin Gordon, but I just think he's a bit scatty. I don't know how to explain it, but he just seems to be like the Johnny May of running backs. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just here, there, and everywhere.
I also feel with people like Kareem Hunt disappearing off the radar.
Yeah.
What happened to Kareem?
I don't remember.
He kind of threw himself off a cliff.
He kind of got kicked out, didn't he?
Yeah.
I would exclude Kamara because, if we're being brutally honest, I feel like he's a cheap Gurley. So if you're not going to have Gurley, you can't have Kamara.
No, I'd definitely pick Gurley over Kamara.
I hate Kamara, so I'm more than happy for that to happen. As a person.
I mean, I'm not dismissing Kamara's talents. I'm just saying I think
I am.
Kamara is probably where Gurley was a year ago or so.
Remember Gurley's stats for this year, given that he was injured for the latter,
Yeah, but
he dropped off, man. He dropped off.
But he was injured for all that time. That was the thing. He got injured in.
Not if you ask CJ Anderson again in this interview. He was adamant that Gurley was 100% fit for the Super Bowl.
And yet no one believes that because everyone saw the
footage. But why lie?
Of him
Why lie? If anything, it's in your favour to lie. It's in your favour to say he was injured.
Well, because then it makes Gurley look better. Unless Anderson has gone in for Gurley's job.
It's more, I think, going into that game that they didn't want to let off, and then afterwards they're like, "Oh, we said this before. We can't really go back on that."
That's not how. It never works that way, though. It always works the opposite way. I don't know. It's a weird situation because Gurley looked injured. Yeah. Like we were saying, he didn't make any of the cuts or anything that you would typically expect from him.
The only thing I can think is potentially Gurley was injured, but the answers he gave to the medical staff on certain, maybe he had like a small tear or a strain or something, and something that doesn't necessarily show up on an X-ray. And the answers he gave to the medical staff were look, it's his first Super Bowl. The man's going to want to play.
Yeah.
When the doctor comes up to him and says, "Oh, how's your knee feeling?" "Yeah, completely fine." Do you feel comfortable cutting on it? "Yeah, really fine. I feel 100%. I feel just like I did at the start of the season." Yada yada yada. The entire team thinks he's fine.
Well, in that case, and I don't want him on my team because he's selfish.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny.
Personality.
I'm not being funny. If I'm the Rams
selfish.
and I know Gurley's injured, I'm more than happy to send CJ Anderson out there to carry the ball 22 times.
They did. In the Super Bowl, they did use CJ Anderson. So I'm fairly
not that much though. I disagree completely with McVay's way of thinking with it. He flip-flopped too much to the point where no guy could get momentum. And both guys said this, but I don't think both guys are actually putting the blame in the right place. Gurley touched the ball 4 times.
Do you want someone who touched the ball 4 times on your team? Or
in the Super Bowl?
Or do you want Zeke, who touches the ball
I'm not
lots
going
of
to lie,
times?
I'm kind of going with Zeke.
I would also personally go Zeke.
Yeah.
You have your red line, Mark, if you want to use it. Or do you want to save it for something like left tackle?
No, I'm going to use my red line on Todd Gurley.
Doom, 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 doom.
It's fine. He's only third.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean,
he'll
bench
carry the
warmer,
ball a
innit,
couple
so
of times in the fourth.
We'll give him 4 touches when we get to the Super Bowl.
It's also because I don't have any other Rams, so I feel.
You need-
Isn't
to get him
it
in.
funny how that's worked? Like biggest offensive team of the year, and I hardly have any Rams.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show it's all coaching, doesn't it? Well, congratulations. The running backs then, McCaffrey, well, I'll do them in order. McCaffrey, Johnson, Saquon, and Todd Gurley. And the children are happy. Right, here's a discussion point.
That felt longer than...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting more happy.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Oh, Lord, I forgot about this.
Boom. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to go
Nelly.
first on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go first, though. Okay, I'm going to try and go in the least
Can I just
controversial
briefly
order.
say, in a complete brain fart, I've written Mike Adams. The 70-year-old safety from the Carolina Panthers. I don't know why. Do you know why it is? Because I thought of another player as I was writing Mike. That's so funny.
Nice.
My brain has... I mean, I might redline Mike Adams as one of our wide receivers. Anyway.
Okay, so
At least he won Mike
Ready.
Daniels.
Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Juju Smith-Schuster, Larry Fitzgerald.
I like all of them. I like all of them.
What?
Except, did you pick Beckham?
No.
Well, then that's dumb.
I know.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, I named
Dumbass.
those, and I was like,
You've missed out some guys we need. I'm going to tell you that much.
go on.
Julio Jones.
He was on there.
Yeah, all right. We'll get to the ones you missed in a bit. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr., the third best wide receiver in the NFL. Mike Adams. Mike Evans. Stephon Diggs.
Oh.
Devontae Adams. The number 1 red zone threat in the NFL.
In fairness,
most
what else did
productive
Green
player.
Bay
Did you have
have?
DeAndre Hopkins on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Devontae Adams is better in the red zone than DeAndre Hopkins.
I appreciate Mike Evans being thrown in there because
I
thought,
love Mike
I
Evans.
thought I was about to have to
No,
argue
no, no,
this,
no, no.
but I genuinely
No, I
believe
can
that Mike
understand him.
Evans' pure talent
Top 5.
is there.
Yeah.
It's like Beckham in a way is kind of suffocated by the fact that his quarterback is incapable. I think Winston is still capable. We'll see that. But the point is they're both in a similar situation.
Yeah.
The difference is Beckham has had the chance at the tail end of Eli's.
Mike Evans hasn't been not unproductive though.
Mike
Let's not
Evans
lie.
is the
He's-
first wide receiver in the history of the franchise to have 5 consecutive 1,000-yard
1,000-yard
seasons.
seasons.
Every season he's been in the league. That's very, very impressive by league standards, never
He's
mind
had
just by Tampa
injuries.
standards.
He's had
And he's worked with all these different quarterbacks too. It's a testament to, I think, his pure talent and desire. A bit like Hopkins, really.
The biggest respect I can pay to Mike Evans is when I watch Tampa, Carolina twice a year, he scares me.
Yeah.
And I know we have Bradbury, who seems to do well. And, Bradbury did really well against Evans this year, for the most part.
Bradbury did well against most people,
yeah.
actually. One of the stats I saw, I think he was in the top 10 cornerbacks for reducing the passing completion.
Yeah. And he got put on the number 1 receiver every time, and we played Julio twice, we played Antonio Brown, we played Mike Thomas twice, we played Mike Evans.
Your division is mean.
Yeah, he did really well, but that doesn't change the fact that Mike Evans scares the heebie-jeebies out of me.
So you just brought up a name that I'm pretty sure neither of you said, but how Michael Thomas is not in this conversation,
yes, I have him
really
written
don't
down.
know.
For me, I think about this a lot. I initially had him as my number 4, and then I put brackets around him because I thought of we're having 6, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of Devontae Adams, and I sat there and I thought, would I rather have Michael Thomas or Devontae Adams? And I know Michael Thomas is good, and I know, Devontae Adams has Aaron Rodgers, Michael Thomas has Drew Brees. I feel like I don't know how to say this without being rude and not saying what I want to say. What I mean, Michael Thomas is great. Don't get me wrong; he is a top 10 wide receiver for sure. But he simultaneously benefits a lot from the Peyton scheme getting him open. And that's not saying that Peyton schemes. It's not like McVay with Woods, for example, where I feel like a lot of the time Woods is open because McVay makes him open, or because Cooks takes players away. Thomas consistently gets double teamed and still gets open. But it's just when we're talking in these like high echelons, Michael Thomas having the help of Peyton's scheme, I'd like to see him do something out of a good offensive scheme, like Julio has done, for example, or like Odell has done, like DeAndre Hopkins has done, where they still consistently get open, just to prove to me that he is better than someone like Devontae Adams.
I think you're doing him a disservice, because I think he's slowly... But
I also
steadily,
hate his Twitter handle, Can't Guard Mike. Like, how cocky, how arrogant.
I think
there's only room for one arrogant receiver in this team, that's Odell.
I think he's slowly but steadily climbing his way past certain names now. And to me, outside of the Beckham, Jones, Brown debate, Hopkins is there, sorry, I put Thomas at 5. I think he's the 5th best receiver in the league right now, because of the fact that everyone knows that when you go to New Orleans, that's the guy you have to stop. Yeah. And you can't. It's not his fault that, like you just said, he's double and triple teamed, but he's still getting open. I don't see how that's Peyton's scheme, because if you're being double or triple teamed, you're still being double or triple teamed. And I think they've got Traquan Smith. I like him. And they've got a whole bunch of other guys, and they're nice. But Michael Thomas is the obvious choice there. Yeah. So, but then at the same time, I like New Orleans supporting cast a lot more than Green Bay's.
Yeah.
And you're right about Devontae Adams, because he really has been a number 2 receiver his whole career. And to step up to that number 1 role simply because you chose to trade Jordy Nelson and not bring in anything else, I mean, that's a testament to him.
This also wasn't his first year of greatness. Last year he led the league in touchdown receptions, I think, or he tied for the lead. This year he led the league in touchdown receptions, I'm pretty sure. He has chemistry. When he came into the league, he wasn't good. He was okay. He was a good receiver, but he had the same problem that Equanimeous St. Brown has had this year, that Marquez Valdes-Scantling, or whatever his name is, has had this year, where when you play with Rodgers, you need to know what Rodgers is thinking at any given time, because let's be honest, the play's probably going to break down and you're going to need to be able to move about and have that connection with Rodgers. Now that he's got that and has proven he can develop chemistry with his quarterback, we are seeing his true talent and his true skill come through. Some of the catches he makes, some of the plays he makes. The only other feasible target on that Green Bay team for the majority of the year was kind of like Jimmy Graham running at half the speed he used to.
You've got Randall Cobb too, but the problem with Randall Cobb is, as much as he's got chemistry with Rodgers, he's also got chemistry with the injured reserve list. So, I mean, I really, really like him. I think he's ultra talented. I just think his career has been diminished by that. There's one more name I'll throw in there, and he's a younger guy, but I really like him, and I actually think that his... Again, you could say it's part of the scheme, but at the same time, his talent and his usefulness was showed by his absence this year. And Cooper Kupp, I think, is one of those names that no one really sees coming, but this year in his absence has proven that he is Jared Goff's definitive number 1 receiver on a team with Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods, who could go to most other teams and be number 1 receivers there. And I think Kupp's only going to get better. He's in his second year. He's had a terrible injury, but he's going to come back, and he's going to come back better. And I think if you're looking to kind of have a 6th guy kind of sneak in there as your youth, someone that can... He's not going to be a Beckham, he's not going to be a Jones, but he doesn't need to be that.
He's going to be a chain mover.
He doesn't need to be that. And he's really, really useful. I mean, I think we watched that breakdown of the way that they use him with play action. Yeah. And he's so good at selling it that he's
good blocker as well for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't get how you've both looked past Tyreek Hill, who...
No, I don't look past Tyreek Hill.
Boring.
I like Tyreek Hill. If you're going to have Mahomes, I think Tyreek Hill, or even if you have Rodgers, even if you have Luck, or Deshaun Watson, we didn't even throw his name out.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is not a gadget player.
I think
at this point.
Was a joke.
He's proven this season that he's very, very hard to mark, even in double or triple teams, because he's so fast that there are very few players that can keep up with him. After catching it again, he's so quick that he can just break through your plays.
I hear what you're all saying, but the name I keep looking at is Stephon Diggs, and I love Stephon Diggs. I think he is... He's one of the purest wide receivers.
I like him too, and he's young. And
I know he might not get the statistics, but it's difficult when Thielen's catching every 5 seconds, and Kirk Cousins is exclusively looking at Thielen, and exclusively looking at Thielen, and Diggs is wide open, but he's exclusively looking at Thielen, and Thielen is marked, and he doesn't know what to do, and he gets sacked.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I think Diggs was a victim of that last year, but. Again,
Adam Thielen is another name that's in this discussion.
It's like what I'd argue with Evans. He's a victim of his situation because his talent is unquestionable. This is the thing with the receivers in the league right now. There are so many good ones.
Let's do an episode ranking wide receivers.
It's like, I know, Mark, you brought up Antonio Brown, and based purely on this situation going on right now, given the fact that we're in a weird world where we can have Hopkins and Jones and all these other guys, I'd say no, because you don't want it. I'd take Beckham because at the same, he might be a baby, but he doesn't.
He's a good baby though, isn't he?
He is a good baby, and he's a younger baby, and he
he's
also
got cool hair for a baby.
He doesn't go out his way to distract the team on a broader level than what Brown has.
And he can play quarterback if we need him to.
Yeah, I mean,
we need to take this into account.
He's our Mohamed Sanu, really.
Yeah. Mohamed Sanu, another name? No.
So I would dismiss Brown's name.
Okay, yeah.
Right, let's try and advance this.
So
the good news is that once we deal with this and tight end, it's just basically offensive line and fullback, which should...
So you've agreed Hopkins, Jones and Beckham?
Yes.
Okay,
Those
so that's three. Oh, my God. I really want Devontae Adams.
Oh, I'm happy with Adams, yeah. Adams, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's Adams. I also really want Stephon Diggs.
See, the issue is that, like, I can't look past Tyreek Hill, who is just such a beast.
Do you know what the other issue is?
What?
I still have my red line.
You do still have your red line.
Do I use it on Stephon Diggs?
Well, what the hell else are you going to use it on at this point?
Hey, there are some good tight ends on the
He's going to pick Cam Newton as a tight end.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He's physically built for it.
You sound like
Don't
the
get me
NFL
wrong,
media.
I'd happily welcome Stephon Diggs. It's just from a personal preference. Michael Thomas is bigger and stronger.
Okay, let's think about the names we have. So we have Diggs, Evans, Thomas, Juju,
Hill.
Tyreek Hill,
Cut.
Cooper.
We're
Cooper
still two
Kupp.
places, right?
I think Cooper Kupp
So
should be
I would
in.
fill the rest out then with Cooper Kupp, who brings you some stuff with the play action.
Also an
and
incredible
blocking.
slot receiver.
And then I bring in Stephon Diggs, who's a guy who's very versatile. He can be out wide. He can fill in the slot if he needs. And I'd be happy with that because you still have your bigger guys like Hopkins, like Jones, in which case you don't need Thomas. And then you have Adams, in which case I think you kind of have the broad spectrum of all. The only thing you are missing is the speed of Tyreek Hill. But then
it's
I'd
not like
argue
Julio's slow.
no, and in fairness,
He's not as quick as he was.
Beckham is
Julio
one of the
is
best in the
still-
game. Beckham, I think you miss it because Eli just can't throw it.
Yeah.
But Beckham
Yeah, true,
breaks
actually.
every single time. And if he had a guy like Russell Wilson, we'll talk about that probably. But I'm just saying, if he had a guy that was able to throw a deep ball, we would be
Yeah.
talking about Beckham, I think, in the same way we'd be talking about Hill anyway.
I agree. Okay, so wide receivers: Julio, Hopkins, Odell, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs.
I'm happy with all of them.
What a blooming lineup!
And Larry
that is.
Fitzgerald is the wide receiver coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Perfect. That was an interesting shout, by the way, Fitzgerald.
Yeah,
get some
I was going
experience.
to
in
get
there.
some experience.
We'd lose him
and
after a year. That's
someone
the
who
only
can catch anything that you throw
True,
his
yeah.
way.
Quickly, fullback.
Anthony Sherman, I literally don't know any other
I swear to
fullbacks.
God, I thought you were actually going to say Andy Reid. I don't care because I'm not John Gruden and I'm not living in
Fullbacks
1999.
matter. Fullbacks matter. I'm going to throw a name into the mix. Sam Hubbard.
Yeah, okay.
He plays defensive end for the Bengals, but they bring him in. He also plays fullback. So what we're getting with him is not only a fullback, but an additional edge rushing threat. He's quite a good edge rusher as well, in my humble opinion.
Is he like one of the fridges? You know, when they have...
Yeah,
have
kind of. He's
their fridge
ginormous.
runner.
And he's called Sam, which I think is quite a funny name.
Don't they also do that with... Is it Dontari Poe? Is he the...
Oh, don't talk to me about that.
Is he the guy
Wally. He's that guy who
Who's your
did a passing
fullback?
touchdown.
Yeah.
Alex Armour. Interesting story.
Yeah.
He was driving. I don't remember the exact details of the story, but essentially someone tried to steal his car, and instead of giving in and letting the guy steal his car, he got him in a chokehold and called 911.
Nice. Well, we need that sort of player, so I'd vote him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, let's have Alex Armour, another
Yeah.
Panthers player in the mix. Hooray. Let's congratulate the receivers and the fullback at the same time. Because I forgot to say well done. I guess finally the final big position group that might spark arguments is tight end.
I think we're going to agree on three.
Interesting.
Okay, should we all say three at the same time? Okay. 3, 2, 1.
George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Evan
Zach
Ingram.
Ertz.
Right, you said Evan Ingram, you said what?
Zach Ertz.
Come on.
mean,
I like Ertz, I really do, but I feel like you
I'm
have
happy
to.
to
He's
give up. He was my
inflated.
third.
He's inflated by the fact that he's Wentz's only option for some
Yeah.
reason, and he's best
Even though
friends with
Jeffrey is on the
Wentz.
team.
Yeah, I like
Jeffrey was
Ingram.
another player we could have put in that wide receiver.
I do
Who was
like
the other
Ingram.
guy I was thinking of. It was Ingram, Ertz, and what's his
Well,
name?
I'm going to throw another name in there.
Ebron. That was, I think, the third.
OJ Howard. Mark my words,
thought about
is
him.
going to be one of the next big tight ends because he is brilliant. His speed is something else. Blocking isn't really his thing yet, but that's something we can work on. But no.
Hey, that's the way
Even
modern
Rob
tight ends go.
Gronkowski at this point is being praised because he's not so much a passing tight end anymore, but he's become a very good blocker in his later years. It's something that can be developed. But his ability to catch in coverage is actually really special. He's a massive guy. He's fast. Last year he had a couple of touchdowns that were at least 70 yards. Like he has pace. I don't know what to compare him like because he's kind of built a bit more like Gronkowski than he is, say, a Kittle, but he has the pace of Kittle rather than Gronkowski, who has the pace of a giraffe. But it's not
elegant.
It's
He
not
does look
elegant.
like a
It's
baby
not
child trying to run.
I really thought about OJ Howard for a while. Kittle and Kelsey, are they?
Yeah.
We agreed they're in.
Yeah.
Two best tight ends in the league, I think. Ingram,
I mean, it's
Or
fairly
Howard.
obvious why we haven't gone for Gronkowski, given
he's
that
just a bit older. He's probably
Yeah.
going to retire this year.
I
so.
think he's got 0 years left.
You say
but
that though, but if it was a Super Bowl and I had to pick a team for the Super Bowl, he'd be my tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think, like, I do want to pick him just because it'd be like, oh, what? It's Christian McCaffrey's birthday. Gronk, organise a party real quick. Done. Gronk party.
I like Ingram, maybe not as an individual, but as a piece alongside the Barkleys and Beckhams and all the Shepherds in New York. He works really well. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd pick him as like
He's very consistent, and he does have to deal with Eli,
true.
which gets him bonus points.
I'd also throw in Vance
I like how
McDonald.
Eli gives you bonus points
Yeah.
because we're just like, oh, he clearly makes you worse. So
But I'd throw in Vance McDonald too, who I think is last year kind of had a forgotten really good year because Kittle had a great year and then Antonio Brown was an ass. So, like, you know.
All right, let's do the same thing we did with quarterbacks. Pick our preferences, and we'll work with there. So it's Ingram, McDonald, or Howard, or Ertz, I guess, if you're so inclined. But
I'm going all out on Howard because I really believe, but then that's just my bias. Which, by the way, I don't have a lot of room for because there's a lot to be biased about. But
I'm going to go with Evan Ingram.
what we doing, man?
do you know what? Because it's your birthday,
No,
I'm
no,
going to
no,
go
no,
OJ
no, no.
Howard.
It's the right-
Aaron Rodgers.
It's the right. I'm sorry.
annoyed.
How are you upset? How are you upset that we have Aaron Rodgers as our third choice?
I've never seen Mark so annoyed in one moment. He literally threw a temper tantrum. He got Aaron Rodgers. Oh, that's one of my favourite moments of doing this show in the 2 years or whatever we've been doing it, year and a half. Oh my god, I'm crying. I can't wait to edit this.
He's just going to loop that moment back to himself.
I'll never forget your face in that moment. You were so angry. It's his birthday, Mark.
I'm not being funny, but this is ridiculous. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, I'm happy to have Aaron Rodgers. Someone isn't though. Right, anyway, focus. We don't have that much time. Ingram Howard. Let's just go Howard, man. Why not? He's crazy. He's a physical specimen. I like the guy. He was in my fantasy team this year. Ingram was my main guy. Howard came in for a couple of weeks, helped me win the title. Do you remember that, Mark? I do. Right, offensive line.
Dante Scarnecchia.
Who on this mother flipping earth is that?
He is the offensive line coordinator for the New England Patriots.
Oh, he's playing. I don't.
He's not playing.
No, he is.
My point is this: I don't care who the offensive line is made up of, because if he's my coach and Andy Dickerson is his supporting cast, who, by the way, was a supporting offensive lines coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams, I'm having them both. Because, by the way, the Rams actually don't have an explicit offensive line coordinator. They have
like a run game coordinator.
Yeah,
and a
and
pass
then
game
they have
coordinator,
the assistant offensive line coordinator, which is Andy Dickerson. But pairing them together, okay, the Super Bowl, let's forget that because that was bad for the Rams. But my point is this. The Rams, who's on the Rams offensive line this year compared to last year? It doesn't matter because they've worked the same. They've been as good. You can slot in guys, and if you've got the right coaching, to me, the offensive line is one of those chemistry is necessary. And I think a lot of that will come from coaching, and that's been shown by this.
Max has just done what I did last year, which is like, I'm just going to pick a scheme and...
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's individual players that I would pick, like left tackle, for instance. I'm thinking like a guy like Trent Williams, but...
Interesting, I didn't actually have him on. I had
despite being the statistical best
probably
left
the best left tackle in the league, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But then you've also got
it was a flip-up between him and Tyron Smith for my second.
I was going to say, you've then got Tyron Smith, Bakhtari, and then you've got literally everyone on the Eagles and everything, and it's like, well, you could, but I think this proves, you know what, I don't know if it matters.
I actually did my research, and I've come up with 10 names. Left tackle, I had Bakhtari and Tyron Smith, like I said. Although
I would push for Trent Williams more.
I really
than
flip-flop
Smith.
between Tyron Smith and Trent Williams. I don't know why I went Tyron Smith in the end, because I do prefer Trent Williams as a player. But
Tyron Smith, I'm worried about the injury bug.
yeah. Who have you got, Mark? You actually picked defensive linemen this year, didn't you?
Yeah, but I mean, I still don't have a clue who any of them are or what they've ever done in their lives.
You don't get points for offensive linemen in fantasy, so...
Yeah, exactly. So, and when watching, I'm usually there watching the running back rather than the offensive lineman who move everyone out the way.
Classic.
Yeah, I'm just such a casual watcher, you know.
Yeah.
I've got Terran Armstead, Mitchell Schwartz, Ryan Ramczyk.
Ryan Ramczyk is actually a good
I've got Ramczyk as my right tackle.
I figured that it would just at least spark debate if I brought up 4 names, so you guys can talk about it while I'm just like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mitchell Schwartz isn't a bad name either because
had a
the
really good
Chiefs'
year.
offensive line was actually all right.
An incredible Twitter page if anyone wants to check out. He really makes me laugh. He does these random Q&As sometimes. There was one I think I've spoke about on the show before. Someone sent him a tweet in this Q&A and it was like a really long tweet and it was basically like, if you want to win the game on Sunday, you got to do this. You tell this, and he just quote tweeted it being like, I'll pass it on to Andy. Makes me laugh. I would like to put a name in for this tackle. Taylor Moton from the Carolina Panthers, our right tackle, had a really good year. Let up not a lot of pressures. Can't remember how many, but not a lot. I think it was less than 5. Really young, only in his second year. Is probably going to be our franchise right tackle as long as they don't screw it up and re-sign Darrell Williams, which would be stupid in my humble opinion. But anyway,
I don't think they will. At the end of the day, that was my watch.
No.
At the end of the day, they have, I think, started to see the light by letting go of some defensive players that are older and not...
Honestly,
wise.
I'd play Khalil next year at left tackle because he costs too much to get... Well, would I play... No, I'd draft an offensive tackle and play Khalil if I needed to, and just let the kind of rookie left tackle develop behind him.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. These are louder. These are louder.
Yeah.
I can't hear much.
It's better. But yeah, I think Taylor Moton's a really exciting other young player. The other name I had, Mike McGlinchey.
I like McGlinchey. I'm happy with either of the two for youth. But I think the important thing actually is right tackle is as important nowadays as left because I think a lot of teams have clicked, you know what, if we put our best defensive end on the right side, then...
Or on the left side.
Yeah, okay, so... their right side.
Well, it's like Von Miller is left outside linebacker.
Heading to the right tackle.
Khalil Mack heads towards the right tackle nowadays.
Yeah. So right tackle is very important. And the Eagles got that though, because that's how the Eagles built their line.
And they got Lane Johnson in.
Yeah.
And it's not as if Von Miller is a left outside linebacker, so he's exclusively going to line up on the left. No, like he's going to flip around, he's going to move. So you need to have 2 strong tackles. I would say Bakhtari, what's his name, Trent Williams, Ramczyk, and Moton as my 4.
I'm happy with them for both ends.
Yeah. Left tackle, right tackle. Brilliant. Moving on to guards quickly. Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to argue with that?
Quentin Nelson can play both, the left and the right guard. There's no centre either. He plays that.
Then for my right guard, I had David DeCastro from the Steelers. Love him. Great player.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm questioning that. The Steelers are great offensive
Then
line.
backup left guard, Ali Marpet. Everyone thought I was crazy last
You
year.
picked him as a centre.
Yeah, same thing basically.
No, the right guard is where he plays.
Well, anyway, for the second year running, Ali Moppet.
I like him. He's literally the only guy on our roster that plays defensive line that deserves to still be there.
Ryan Jensen I would keep, I think.
Ryan Jensen.
Your centre.
Yeah, because we've made him the highest paid centre in the league. You can't afford not to. But
Legend.
yeah.
And Zach Martin was my other guard.
I like Zach Martin. I think at this point he's kind of more of the leader of the line than Smith. I don't know why I always thought of Smith as the leader of that line, but I think...
There's also Travis Frederick, who's currently out.
Yeah, but I think... And Martin's moved to the right as well, which is the interesting move, because he's been moved to the right because there's growing understanding that actually pressure will come from the right.
Yeah.
So I like that.
And then finally, centre, I've got Alex Mack and Jason Kelsey.
I've got Jason
Mack,
Kelsey and
the
Rodney
centre.
Hudson.
I was going to say Rodney Hudson's the other guy.
Isn't
He's a Raider, he's older, but statistically,
he's great.
The best centre in the league, who let up so little pressures this year, unlike the rest of his line. He's like the Khalil Mack was obviously in the Oakland, which is why I'm using this, but he was what Mack was to that defense, to his offensive line.
It's almost like
he's great.
Every time they snapped the ball, there was a pillar in the middle, and the players just had to run around it instead of run through it.
Literally, yeah. So I would throw Hudson in there over Kelsey.
Interesting.
Because it's the experience factor. With Mack, you get the
Mack, youth, and also just a great centre.
Yeah.
Should we say Mack and Hudson then?
Yeah.
Right. Let's give them a cheer. Congratulations, O-line. We dealt with that very quickly because, let's be honest, we needed to. No one wants to sit and talk about O-line for 20 minutes.
Are we going to quickly try and fit in head coach, or are we going to do that next time?
Yeah. What do you? Let's try and do offensive coordinator quickly. Well, actually, no. Let's just save it for next time because I think we're going to have an argument. Because I'm not going with the consensus pick. So yeah, we'll deal with head coach and offensive coordinator next time. We'll also do a special teams briefly, and then we can have another quick news kind of roundup-y thing. So that'll be next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Make sure you tune in. I won't run through the roster because I don't think we have enough time. But if you do want to hear it, listen back to us on YouTube, NFLementary on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well at NFLementary. I haven't really tweeted much recently because I can't be bothered, but I might tweet something every now and then, and it might be good.
Nice.
You never know.
Filling people with confidence there, Colin.
That's me. Thank you all very much for listening. Happy birthday, Max.
Thank you.
Diggs is also a Viking. Mark, I think your dad wants Diggs in the team.
That's nice.
Diggs.
Yeah.
Diggs is also a Viking.
Right, anyway, that's all we've got time for. Thank you all very much for listening. Goodbye.